Hello, BookTube. It's time for a Friday Reads. It's been about 4 weeks since I've done a Friday Reads. I think July 23rd was the last time. I've not been reading a lot, and I'm going to show a few things that I've read since then. At least I think the first two, I don't think I read them for that. It's just, haven't had a very great couple months here, to be honest, of reading and just sort of health wise. So everything sort of really slowed down. But I'm trying to push as much as possible to read. But I'm really only getting like a few hours a day, maybe three, if I'm lucky, maybe four at the most, um, on a very good day. But on a bad day, almost nothing at all. And on mediocre or average days, I'm getting about 2 to 3 hours maybe of reading. So it's obviously it's slow. It's slowing me down quite a bit. But anyway, um, the like this isn't everything I've read. There's a few things I couldn't lay my hands on. I've been reading a lot of little essays in books as well. So, but I read the first two volumes of Mike Ashley's The Story of the Science Fiction Pulp magazines from the beginning. This one's from the beginning to 1950, and it's called Time Machines. And this is a paperback published by Liverpool University Press in 2000 in 2000. There is a hardcover edition, but it's very expensive, and I was lucky enough to get the 4 volumes fairly cheap off a seller on eBay, so I was pleased with that. Um, Originally, he had 4 volumes that were done with anthologized a lot of stories for the periods that each of those books covered, with a fairly detailed introduction. Um, Sort of a preface to every story, and then at the end he had sort of lists of the magazine's dates and stuff, and he continues with this, and it's much more detailed. There are no stories anthologized in here. He references the stories as and when that he thinks is applicable, and proves his point. But there's appendices for the magazines and listing, like, each year and every month that it was published, and it also goes into um, editors and publishers, alphabetical, of what when and what they did, as well as directory of magazine cover artists and which issues they did. So it's very good in that way. It's quite detailed. It's probably never going to be surpassed. It's a lot of work here. The only thing that his opinions are his opinions of what is good and what's bad, but as the facts of who did what and when and what magazine and who got published when and what magazine and so forth, and the reaction of the time isn't, that hasn't changed. But anyway, that's volume 1. Volume 2 is a bit bigger, and it covers 1950 to 1970, called Transformations. And these are actually covers from old pulp magazines that they've borrowed. And this one I think is 2004, 2005 actually. And there's 2 other ones published at the moment. There's 71 to 80, and then 81 to 1990. And apparently next year he's going to do a 5th volume that goes from 1991 to 2020, I believe. So that'll be nice to get, but I'll wait until it comes out in paperback to match everything here. If you're interested in a little more detail, the rambling sort of detail of these two books, take a look at my science fiction series. Just look under science fiction in my playlist, and you'll see a list, and then you'll see where I discuss those. And I like I said, I've read a few other things here and there. And here's another one that I just read just this past weekend here, this past week. Science Fiction in the 20th Century by Edward James. It's Oxford University Press paperback original, published in 1994. And again, it's a general sort of history, very general, in 210 pages of text of 20th century science fiction from basically 1895 to 1993, sort of almost 100 years that he covers. And again, if you look in the most recent, actually, science fiction video, I discussed this in a lot more detail. Fiction-wise, I've read a few things. I don't have everything here. This one I finished the other day, yesterday I think it was, Rosemary's Baby by Ira Levin. Was originally published in 1967, and this is sort of a 2011 edition with an introduction by Chuck Palahniuk. I'm not sure of the pronunciation. But that goes along with Film. Oh, if I can find it here. If I can reach around and not knock everything down. Yeah. Rosemary's Baby. So this is going to be my next. I'm going to... I've taken a hiatus from the book to film series that I've been doing. And I'm not sure if I'll be able to have this done for tomorrow night, Saturday night, because I normally do it on I post on a Saturday night. But there's a few other things I need to read. I need to watch the film. It's a film that was made in 1968, I think it was, yeah. Directed by Roman Polanski, starring Mia Farrow and a bunch of other actors. I'll go into more detail of it when I do the book to film one, and because I started reading this today. This is the BFI, the British Film Institute Guide to Rosemary's Baby. I didn't get very far. Today was a very bad day. I barely could keep my eyes open all day, and I'm on page 4. I've read the sort of introduction and acknowledgments, and I got to page 4, the first section. This is written by Michael Newton and was published 2020, it says here, yeah. So it's the newer edition of it, and it's Bloomsbury have taken over the publication of these, the BFI guides. They're good. They're just pricey for what they are. Like, it's just an extended essay, and this is like 110 pages, I think, and they want usually about £11 for it. You know, it's the full price. And also too, I've started a Thomas Clarison history of science fiction, but I shouldn't say history. Well, it is history, but not like the other one that I read here. This is the emergence of American science fiction, and it's Greenwood Press, published in 1985. And I'm hoping to get this done over the weekend. It's not that big. It's just like 220 pages, I think. But it's the emergence of American science fiction. Like I say, I've just got a little ways into it. I'm on to page or chapter 2, I think it is. Yeah, I'm on to chapter 2. I just started it yesterday afternoon. I haven't got back to it, so I'm hoping I'll have it done by for Tuesday's science fiction video. And I've read a few other things. Like, I've been sort of remiss with the book to film. I'm hoping to ease back into it slowly. And with Rosemary's Baby. And I might do, because as we're coming up into October, I might do some horror film ones. I might do The Exorcist at some point, and maybe a few others. Um, I'll see what I can find here of books that I have, and the films for them, and do it that way. And then, like, I've been preparing. The one that I had meant to do for quite a long time is The Magnificent Ambersons. The film is Orson Welles, but I've been bogged down with the book. I was having so much trouble because I don't know. It's just not that I had trouble reading it because of the maybe it's the style so much, but it's just I wasn't enjoying it, so I just kept putting it off, reading a page here or there, and I still got 100 pages to go on it, and I will get it done, and I'll do that, but it's on the back burner for the moment. Um, and other things that I said like I've read a couple other short fiction books, but I can't. Not sure where they are at the moment. I'm just sort of looking here to see if I could see them in some piles that I have here, but no, I don't. I don't know where they are, and I can't think of off the top of my head exactly. That's what I say. It's not been a great a while. I just do things once when I have the energy to do this, and to do to read to begin with, and then to do a video, because other times I'm just sort of just nodding off all the time, and it'd be nice if I could actually fall asleep. But anyway, something else that I got that I'm thinking of starting these sometime soon, um, because in the Edward James's science fiction of the 20th century, he mentions Gene Wolfe's The Book of the New Sun. And I've got it's a 4-volume novel. It's set in basically I think it's 1,000,000 years in the future or something like that. I'm not 100. I'm not familiar with it. I'm 100, almost 100% sure I've never read it. I've read Gene Wolfe, but I've never read these. So I saw some cheap. These are the SF Masterworks, which I do like, and I decided to get them because they were almost half the price for both of them as it is for one of the volumes, and this contains all 4 volumes. The first volume here is Shadow and Claw, and the last one is Sword and Citadel. There's a fifth. There's a sequel that's been written to it, which I don't have. I will get it at some point. And these run like 600 and some pages, 620 pages, approximately for the one, and 600 for the other. So yeah, so it's a good 1,200 pages, a novel. So and I might get into those in a week or so, because I was sort of spurred on by the Edward James's book, and basically the fact that I had not read them before. I'm quite sure I've not read them. Yeah, it was in this book. So those should be fun to read. And just other things. I'm just gonna sort of continue reading. So, I'm been trying for the last like 2 months basically to start reading more nonfiction. It's a struggle. It's still a struggle for me. But at the moment, I'm doing science fiction stuff. So like this is the Some Kind of Paradise that I'm reading now, and then after this one, there's a 3-volume sort of. It's a thematic history of science fiction that I've wanted to read for a long time. By I think it's Pierce is the surname, but I think it's John Pierce. And there's 3 volumes about this size in Greenwood Press as well. So once I finish this one, I'll move on. I think I'll move on to one of those, and then just sort of do those once. Oh, fingers crossed, once a week for a while, and then that should take us. It's almost take us into our New Worlds November, which is a science fiction event that's happening on BookTube here with several of us. It's headed by the Books Bryants, and each week it's reading short form science fiction and each week we'll read on different sort of themes and discuss. There'll be more about this as coming up, and then in December is my big project beginning, and it's fairly big. It's the Future History Project. It's Isaac Asimov's Future History, plus all the ancillary. Can't even speak. Sorry. The extra, the including the material that Asimov didn't write, others have written within the universe. And there will be a number of booktubers that will be doing it, and a number of viewers will be participating as well. And we'll read. To begin with, we will read the short story, the robot short stories in December to ease into the new year, and then we'll move on to novels and go through it. It's gonna be a big project. It's gonna be fun, but it's gonna take us probably halfway into 2022. So keep an eye on all that, and excuse me. As I say, I'll be back in the next few days, fingers crossed, with Rosemary's Baby. Not Rosemary's Baby, but you know what I mean. My book to film discussion for that. And then I think it might be the next one. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to sustain one a week of these, but maybe once every 2 weeks. And I'm thinking, what do you think? I was thinking do an Exorcist next, but that would be sort of in 2 weeks. But if anybody has any other suggestions, feel free to put them in the comments. Whether or not I have the book and the film is another question, but it might be something I hadn't quite thought of yet, so it'll be something that'll go on a list to eventually get. So so I hope everybody has had a good week or two, and a good and I hope you have a good weekend as well. But as I say, it's slow with me, so I do apologize and I'm trying to keep up with the science fiction videos every week and my hours in my library, and that's going to go ahead. And I want to get back into doing the film, book to film as well. And then in November, from November onward, there'll be a lot of science fiction. So, and then I should have a whole bunch of books, reference books that should be in by mid-October, I would think. Definitely by November anyway. Then I will discuss that and go into a few more little more detailed discussions on my science fiction videos about Isaac Asimov and his future history. Sort of not spoilers, but just sort of background material about Asimov, and probably that's what I'll do probably leading up to December, because once I get his autobiographies and studies of Asimov, then I can sort of start and biographies. I can start dipping into those and pulling things out. So take care, BookTube, and I will see you next time.